we will speak to my longtime partner. It's today on a Tuesday, and that will, of course, be Joe Benigno on Mondays. And it's brought to you by Approved Oil. Visit freeztherate.com. HO Gross Jewelers of Garden City. Total Orthopedics, the experts at getting you back to being you. And by Audi Manhattan, where luxury meets excellence. Bro, how are you?
What's up, bro? I could be better. I mean, we'll start with the baseball team, bro. What a disgrace. I'm worried. You got to be concerned, Ev. You got to be concerned that last night, how does Ronnie Mauricio, Ev, not score on that double by Vientos? It looked like he was trotting around second base. What is that?
He shouldn't have even been out there. It should have been Acuna. Mendy screwed up by using him as a pinch hitter.
Because Mullen stinks. That's why.
How about you let Brett Beatty face a lefty and use Marte to pinch hit for Mullins?
Yes. Let me tell you right now, I would rather see Beatty than Marte right now. I know Marte's been hot. Let Beatty hit against the lefty. And I'll tell you right now, bro, I know how you feel. Torrens, they're a better team with Luis Torrens than they are with Carlos, with Francisco Alvarez catching. I'm sorry.
And that's why.
And what he did last night, I knew they were dead. When McNeil struck out, and he just misses a double by a hair, when McNeil freaking strikes out, I said, they're done. I said to my wife, here it is. Swing and miss 10 feet outside, swing and miss 15 feet outside, swing and miss 20 feet outside. Game over. And that's what he did.
Yeah, it was probably the worst at-bat I've seen by a baseball player this season.
Yeah. Alvarez was bad, too, though.
He struck out 3 times last night.
I'm talking about the Alvarez at-bat.
Tiki, he's playing with 2 bad freaking hands.
I know.
Torrens is so much better, Ev. I got so much more confidence Torrens is going to – I know he's hurt.
That's the problem.
Get a big hit in a big spot than Alvarez. And the guy, nobody throws out base runners better than Torrens.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
It's Singer Alvarez right now. Who do you want?
Who's that?
It's Singer.
You know
Alvarez.
what? Right now, I'll give. You know what? I almost feel better with this kid because I know this kid's bearing down to try to make the major leagues and maybe get a hit. Tiki.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Really?
Big question, Joe. Are they making the postseason?
Boy, I'm concerned. I got to be concerned. I mean, they got 3 more games with the Phillies. I mean, they could easily get swept here. I mean, Manaea's pitching tonight. He stinks. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I have no confidence in Sean Manaea. I have no confidence in anybody not named Edwin Diaz in the bullpen. None. And how about the fact last night, Ev, that Hemsley, whatever his name is, with the 15 ERA, great trade. Another great trade by the genius, Stearns. Don't get me going on him, okay? Another stellar move by him. He actually gets a 1-2-3 inning, and they still lose.
Stunning. It was stunning.
Come on.
And what's worse is I'm watching them. They're facing the Phillies, and David Robertson could have been had for nothing.
Right.
He was a free agent.
Yep.
David Stearns said, no, I'm good. He could have traded for Harrison Bader.
Yeah,
he said,
God.
no, let's go get Cedric
Harrison
Mullins.
Bader, who's hitting like 700 against the Mets this year.
Of course
he is.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and I'm curious your opinion on this, because I think they'll make the playoffs. I'm not fully confident in this team right now.
But what are the Giants? Giants are 3 behind them. By the way, I have to say this.
Yeah.
So the Giants are red hot, and this kid that they traded for this other stiff, Tyler Rogers, Mr. Underhand, all of a sudden this guy, Drew Gilbert, is lighting it up.
Yeah, he's been good.
Ev, the genius strikes again.
The genius did not have a good trade deadline.
No. He hasn't had a good year. He signed Frankie Montas for $34 million, Ev.
No, you're right. You're right. There's no denying it.
Was there anybody that didn't know that Frankie Montas stunk?
Yeah.
Is there anybody?
David Stearns.
Yeah, David Stearns. Right.
He's the guy.
The genius.
Would you agree? Again, I think they'll still make the playoffs, but if somehow they don't, I think this would be worse than 2007. Your thoughts?
Pretty bad. Bro, just all you need to think about is this, okay? Since June 13th, they're 21-34.
Yeah.
13 games under. They were 21 games over 500, bro. They're 8 games over. Oh, my God.
It is the reverse of last year. Last year they were terrible till late May.
Last year.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Now, as far as the football team's concerned, I was furious after this game ended because it was a winnable game.
Same old.
Yeah. I think a few days later, there's certainly a lot of positives to take out of it, but give me your thoughts on what happened and how you feel.
It better be encouraged, Joe. It better be encouraged.
That's a good word, Teak. I think encouraged is the right word.
Right.
I mean, I thought the quarterback really played well. I mean, look, I didn't know what to expect from him. I viewed him this year, and, it might still turn out this way. I viewed him as a stopgap guy, Tiki, very honestly. But my one caveat with that is he's only 26 years old. Yeah. So with that, you know how quarterbacks develop. These guys, they could be 33 and they find themselves. We've seen that in the past. So, anything, you never know with a quarterback. But he was really good. They ran the ball. The offensive line, even without the this year's Joel Embiid Award winner, Vera Tucker, who's, I'm always hurt, that guy. Anyway, even without him, they ran the ball really well, right down the Steelers' throat. 182 yards rushing. What? I don't think they had that in 4 games last year. Brees looked good. Wilson looked good. Unfortunately, I thought on that last play that Field should have ran and not thrown it to Garrett, who got lit up. I mean, I don't know. I was upset. You should catch it, but what are you going to do? He got lit up. But you can't make mistakes, bro. They fumble, kickoff, hit guy out of bounds. Nick Folk misses an extra point. That was huge in this game. That set up a whole, thing of events and really eventually cost them the game when all was said and done, because they were now chasing 2-point conversions. The secondary stunk. I thought the defensive line played well. I thought McDonald looked good. Johnson looked good. Quinnen looked good. I know there were times he was out of the game. I guess they're still a little worried about him because he was hurt, in preseason. But I thought they got after it well. But the secondary was horrible. Oh my God!
Brandon Stevens, what a disaster!
And Tony Adams, both those guys were bad.
They were terrible.
Hey Joe, I want to stick with the quarterback for a second because I don't know how many games the Jets are going to win, but it's not going to be 3. You know what I mean? And so
no, they'll win more than that.
Exactly. And so if they do, and say they get to 7 or even 8 and just miss out on the playoffs because they actually play good football, they're not drafting one of the top quarterbacks. And so talk about Justin Fields and the fact that he's 26 years old. Right. That this is his 3rd team, so he's had some experiences.
Yep. Top 10 draft choice.
Right. He's a ridiculous athlete, and he might be the better option. I know you said stopgap, and I need to see a full season of this. It can't just be one game sample, but a full season of him doing the things he did in this last game, including basically checking at the line of scrimmage when he saw his man coverage and calling those 2 crossers and throwing the touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson. I mean, that's high-level stuff. I think there's a ton of potential in him. It's never been realized, but he might be your better option than any of these guys coming out in the draft, especially if you can't get high enough to get them. And by the way, they've all kind of looked bad in the first couple of weeks of college football.
Yeah, well, I'll get to the one guy I really like the most, but I hope, I'll put it this way, Teague, I hope that Justin Fields is my quarterback for the next 10 years. I mean, honestly, that's how I feel. I don't want to have to draft another quarterback.
Yeah.
I want him to be good. Believe me, I'm not rooting against him. I mean, like I said, he's only 26, so I've always said, even though I didn't love him when they brought him in, that there's an upside because he's 26 years old. He really looked good. Let's see how the year plays out. I hope he's my quarterback for the next 10 years. I'll leave it at that. I will.
You wanted Aaron Rodgers back. A lot of Jet fans did. And he played very well. No question.
Look, he's having a big year. They're going to the playoffs to steal. You know they are. You can just write it down.
You may be right, but do you feel better about the decision they made because it's a short-term thing if he had come back? It would have been a year, maybe 2.
I understand it. I didn't love it. Okay, because I want to win, and I'm tired of not winning. And
Amen.
I think we would have, could have had a winning team this year with this guy. I do, but I understand what Glenn did. I totally get it. He wanted him out of the building. He was bigger than the team at this point, unfortunately. I think also there was an element that, look, we don't need – if we have Rodgers here, we're going to have instant expectations that we're not going to have without him. And I think there's something to that as well, But look, I mean, if nothing else on Sunday, they looked like an NFL football team, which I can't always say the last number of years. And I think the coach, we might have a coach. Now, who knows, one game when we lost. But I think there's something the play calling was good. You just got a different feel. I thought he made 2 mistakes in the game. See if you guys agree with me. Number one, first drive of the game, 3rd and 11. Okay, on the 15, 20-yard line, whatever.
Played it safe.
Yep.
You run up the middle. He played for a field goal. He played for a field goal. Let's be honest. Which that bothered me. Take a shot. Okay, that was the first thing. The other thing was the timeout he called right before the second 2-point conversion.
Oh, it was a killer.
I thought that was a blown play. I thought it was, and that hurt us later on.
Both timeouts he used, because he used 2 timeouts within a few minutes of each other. One was after the referee swerve, which was unbelievable. When they called the personal foul on Garrett Wilson, and then the referee's like, hold on. It's on the defense. Don't worry.
Right.
That play was crazy.
Ramsey.
And then right after, they wasted a timeout. So there were 2 wasted timeouts that obviously killed him because they could have used him on that final drive.
They could have used him on the final drive. They could have. But outside of that, I thought, Glenn, I felt like I'm watching a professional football team. You know what I mean? I felt that way.
Did you have an issue? Because there was one other thing Tiki and I talked about yesterday. When Folk misses the extra point,
right,
and they get the penalty, and they have a chance to go for 2 from the 1, it's a 9-7 game. Were you okay with going for 2, or would you just kick the extra point?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with it. I really didn't. Going for 2 from the 1. I don't know if I love the play call where they give it the ball to Allen up in the middle on that play.
Yeah, it's hard to get movement. It's hard to get movement in the NFL right up the gut anymore.
I would have tried what they did later on when you saw the naked bootleg by Fields, and he ran it in, untouched for that touchdown. I had no problem with it, and then they had to go for it the second time. So it all starts with Folk missing the extra point.
One of the decisions, and we had a caller yesterday. I don't know if we actually got to the caller talking about Breece Hall and how they shouldn't trade him now. And that was one of the talking points coming into the season because he has not had a contract extension yet. He's a second-round pick, so there was never a fifth-year opportunity for him. But he looked good, both as a runner and as a receiver. And we know how running backs are treated these days, but I think Breece is going to be integral to what the Jets are trying to do. And I think it's now, but also in the future. You can't move off of him.
No, he looked great. I mean, there's no denying it. Look, the offensive line. It was also a pleasure for a change, Tiki, to actually see an offensive line opening holes for the guy.
Agreed.
I mean, how many times have we seen in the past? They give him the ball, he gets nailed for a yard. It's a 1 yard gain.
That's right.
Because he's got no holes to run through. I agree with you 100%. I'd like to. They had that one big pass play to him for about 33, 34 yards. I think he caught 2 passes in the game.
Yep.
I'd like to see him more in the passing game. I'd like to see him used kind of like, I'm not saying that he's this guy, but kind of like the Rams used to use Marshall Faulk, where they actually would split him out as a wide receiver at times.
Right.
I think you can do that with Hall because we don't really have any great second option right now to Garrett Wilson. I mean, we really don't at this point.
No. Alan Lazard being activated next week ain't going to do it for you.
No.
What'd you think? And I know we have both said this at different times over the last few years. How about Sauce actually traveling and covering DK Metcalf?
Sauce was the only guy in the secondary that played any good.
No doubt.
Everybody else stunk. He was good. Well, it's because it's, they actually blitzed too. There was a couple times I didn't even want them to blitz. Sometimes you go after Rodgers, he's going to burn you blitzing. But at least that's something they never did under Robert Saleh. So I want to see them blitz. I mean, I'm good with that. Not all the time, but at least, times you need to blitz, and we're seeing that too with them.
Yeah, what kind of stake are you putting in Game 2? It's obviously the Buffalo Bills. We know the history, and look, this actually hasn't been horrible as of late because somehow the Jets find a way to win one of those games every single year. It seems like, and they give them problems.
Last year.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Right.
But the importance of Week 2, starting 0-2, we know how the statistics, whatever, they lie to you. It doesn't really matter. But it's just the fact that it's the Bills. This is the division rival, the presumptive winner of the division, and they're dancing on the doorstep of championship, but this is still a division game.
And home.
Right.
Although there'll be a ton of Bills fans, of course. I think that I fully expect they come out, they're going to come out highly motivated, ready to play football Sunday. I see no other way. I think that's one thing with this head coach is that they are going to come out every week ready to play football, okay? And I really feel that way. It's only one game. But I think they're going to come out really ready to play against Buffalo. I think that Glenn is hammering home is hammering home this week the fact that this is a game they should have won because they should have. They let get away because they made mistakes. And here's the other thing too, Teague. They got to start forcing turnovers. This team, I've yelled about this for years. They don't force turnovers.
Right.
And they have to start taking the ball away. They had a couple opportunities.
Yeah, they had a few.
Stevens had one that hit him in the hands, right? Even though he was on his back, he should have caught it. Carter had a good shot at one. There were a couple balls on the ground they didn't come up with. I mean, we see that all the time. They need to start forcing turnovers on defense.
And ultimately, that's why they lost the game, because they committed a turnover and the Steelers didn't.
Yes.
And that gets me to Xavier Gibson. He's got to be off the team. I mean, what has he done since the week 1 2 years ago on the kick return and overtime? He's done nothing. And if Aaron Glenn's going to talk a big game about holding guys accountable and you can't make mistakes, why is he here?
No, Look, you're not going to let Quincy Williams go.
No.
Stupid, hit 10 yards out of bounds, which didn't help him at all. I hurt him big in the game. He's one of the top players on the team. But, who's Xavier Gibson? I mean, come on. He's not Devin Hester. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We'll get somebody else. And by the way, these kickoff rules, tell me they're not a disaster. And now you get the ball on the 35-yard line?
Yeah.
Why would I ever return a kick, Tiki?
Well, I mean,
I'm getting the ball on the 35. I mean, might as well give it to him at midfield. When is that going to happen?
It's only on the 35, though, Joe, if the ball lands in the end zone. And
is that what it is?
Yeah, so you're going to see most of these kickers trying to get it to land at like the 5.
So if the ball hits the 2-yard line and goes into the end zone, it's not a touchback.
Yeah, it goes to the 20.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I didn't know that.
If it lands in the end zone,
I'm glad you're telling me. I had no idea that was the rule.
It goes to the 35.
Well, it's confusing because during the Giant game, there was a kickoff that the Giants didn't return, and they started at the 20, and I was so confused on why.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the reason. The rules are just all over the place.
They are. Well, I mean, they want to encourage more returns, and they have.
Yeah.
I mean, it went up, 15, 20% last year, and so far this year, it's really up. Because you just never know. It's a scrimmage play now in a sense, and so you get a chance if you have a good returner and doesn't fumble.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, outside, I hate to say this, but outside of the fumble kickoff, they actually had good field position all the time.
They did.
Right.
On the returns. I mean, they really did.
That's why. Look, Jet, we know this because the NFL has been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
They want to advantage the offense.
Yes, of course.
They want to promote scoring. They don't want low-scoring, grind-them-out football games. They want scoring. And so this is just another way to encourage better field position and more scoring opportunities.
I'm very curious, Joe, as someone who watches the entire league, when would you go to Jackson Dart as a Giant fan? When would you call for hey, let's make the move, let's see what this kid's got?
But how much, seriously, look, Russell Wilson at one point, to me, was a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go back to his days in Seattle. He was one of the top 3 quarterbacks in football. He should have won back-to-back Super Bowls. Thank you very much, Pete Carroll. But is he any good anymore? I get the feeling.
After game 1, the best that you can say is I have no idea.
Right? Does he want? Tiki, let me ask you this. He's got a lot of money. Mm-hmm. He's got this beautiful actress wife, Sierra, I think that's her name. Yeah. Okay? All right? So he's got a great situation and all that. He's got plenty of money. Does he want to play football anymore?
I think he does.
I know he's getting paid.
Yeah,
but
here's what it is. And I got a chance to hang out with him a couple of times over the last couple of months.
Sometimes I wonder.
Yeah, I've got a chance to hang out with him the last couple of months. I think he's chasing success one more time.
Right.
Because you just mentioned all that success in Seattle, where he was constantly in the postseason, or at least close to it. Just on the edge, never really was in the conversation, but just on the edge of being an MVP candidate.
Yep.
And then he moves to Denver. It was a disaster with Nate, and then it was a disaster with Sean Payton. Then he's in Pittsburgh, but he's older. He gets hurt, misses half the season. I think he's chasing success, and I think he really wants to be a New Yorker. I think he wants success in New York because of what it portends down the line for him should he have that success here.
Now, remember, he collapsed at the end of last year. How many games in a row did the Steelers lose? Yeah. Including the playoff. Like they lose like the last 5 games or whatever they did.
Right.
Once they went to Wilson, eventually a quarterback. I don't think it's going to be long. Because I think Brian Daboll, I think they look at it that their job's in trouble. I don't know if they're going to go. I heard somebody say that you could see Dart playing in the second half against the Cowboys. I don't know if I'd go there.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to go there. And then they got to play Kansas City after that. I think Dart will play. Look, I think they got to get to 1-5, 2-6. Maybe I'm wrong. If they get to that, Dart's playing. That's how I feel.
We shall see. Joe, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, bro.
Brother.
Let's go Mets, bro. You got to get. We're nervous about it.
I know. I get you. Let's go Mets. The great Joe Benigno. You can hear him on Saturdays at 5 a.m. and he'll join us every Monday at 4 o'clock.